So I see you guys have a pretty good team fight lineup, and they've got a lot more of a high tempo based lineup. Um, so especially with this alchemist, but Beastmaster as well. These two are very much to me about trying to. They're just gonna like kind of want to play their own game at the start, and they're going to want
Yes.
to make their space and really try to win by like 20, 25 minutes, or at least like really take control of the game by then. It might go longer than that, but they'll be in a winning spot. That's their plan. Whereas you guys kind of need a bit of the reverse. Like the later this goes, this kind of like wombo combo team fight with like double cataclysms, pretty insane
hmm
and will kill almost everyone.
hmm
Um, so for you guys going usually you don't have to think of like usually it's laning and then we start thinking about team stuff, but with Alchemist and Beastmaster it comes on sooner that we have to think about it even before that in the laning stage, where we need to start making sure they aren't getting the tempo they want. Um that will mainly be like blocking Alchemist camps and harassing him, and then trying to not let Beastmaster just like crush a lane and then like rapidly take a bunch of towers because that would put you really
hmm
behind. So those are the two main things I'll think about from their perspective. And then for you guys, you don't have to win the lanes, but you just kind of have to go even because the longer it goes, the better you'll be. So just to throw out a crazy idea, I don't even know how well this will work because I don't get to like test this stuff. I think you could do Tidehunter solo against Beastmaster if you put Tidehunter in your safe lane. Because I think like Beastmaster Spirit Breaker can't punish a Tidehunter who's like by his tower, and that would let you bring two supports down here with Faceless Void, who's not scared of spin. Tidehunter's like actually a little scared of spin, although he can fight it, but it can go both ways. Whereas like with Time Walk, you're never scared of spin, and
Sure.
with two supports down here, you have either the ability to stack for your Tidehunter or Invoker, Faceless Void to get really big, or for a support, maybe even two of them, to like move in, ward this jungle a bit, and that'll lead to the Alchemist um, getting able to invade the Alchemist a bit and not let him just like free farm a bunch of stacks.
Yeah. I had a quick question before we maybe
Yeah.
get to into the weeds. Do you see like any immediate problems with our draft? Like, do you think there's anything we could fix on that side, or do you think the draft is like solid and like the gameplay was probably more
Mm-hmm.
the problem?
Um, One thought is that you are pretty heavy into team fight. So you
hmm
have like the Tide, the Void, and the Invoker. And that means that making smaller plays will be a little tough because
hmm
you almost always have to commit something big like Chrono or Ravage. Now, Invoker can be a playmaker, but if you're going for a Cataclysm build, then odds are he's not as good of a playmaker.
I
And
think I
that,
went Quaswex this
oh, he
game.
did? Okay.
Yeah.
Does he get Cataclysm later for
Yeah.
the the
I,
axe?
I I end up getting Ags, yeah,
Oh,
as like
got
my
it. So
first
you
big item.
gotcha.
I just wanted to go. I think my idea was like going Quaswex and lane to just drain mana and like
Got it.
also help with picks with Tornado.
Hmm. I'm a little torn on that since I do think a big part of your game plan is the Cataclysm combo, so getting that online sooner is pretty
hmm
big. But I also like that you did Quaswex because, like I was just saying, like I think it's hard to make plays. Like Oracle's not gonna do it. Snapfire is actually pretty decent at it. She's like middle ground, good team fight, good small plays. But then like all the other cores would be tougher. So that puts you like we're doing
Yeah,
Quaswex to fill that, but like we also want Cataclysm first.
I see.
So
I think we
maybe
all kind of felt like I went straight, like no boots, nothing, straight Mask of Madness. I think we all kind of felt like if we don't like get like
Like a
our
big
most aggressive
chrono.
potential early,
hmm
Yeah.
we're gonna just fall apart because they like outplay us in the lanes a lot. So
Gotcha.
I don't know if that was the best. Like I just knew like there was no way I was getting like a Power Treads Mask of Madness Maelstrom decent timing. So I was like, great Mask of Madness. I need to get some kills. I don't know.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's tough. We're gonna have to see how the game plays where it's like
hmm
I get what you're saying because you're behind an MMR, so you don't have a lot of leeway. Technically, I'd say that's a little reverse because you don't want to go too hard. You just need to go enough. You just need to go even. so you don't need to go full like aggro build, but to compensate for like any MMR differences and like their better laning, like yeah, that actually does make sense.
Mhm.
So we'll just have to see how it goes, I think, a bit, and I'll have a better idea. I guess last thought is that maybe Oracle could be a different support, one that allows a bit more playmaking, especially because the build will really be like Tidehunter or Faceless going in first and using their big ults, and then Invoker will be in the back with Snapfire, and they're just gonna like use their long range
Yeah.
combos into it. So like, who does Oracle have to save? Probably the Faceless Void's gonna be the main point, but like Faceless Void is not a carry who's like, why is Faceless Void getting burst down and not getting to do anything? With like Time Walk, being able to choose the fights, but also like dodge out if you get a BKB, things like that. So I think this Oracle feels a little awkward with the rest of the big team fight. Plus, just like Oracle for their team makes more sense to me. It's like, oh, we're gonna put everything on this Alchemist. But for you guys, it's pretty spread out. It's like, here's the guy that goes in, and here's the guy with like all the big follow up damage. So it's like, who do you save? I don't know, because you need both of them. Like, it doesn't work without one or the other. So yeah, I think draft wise, I don't think this is like too bad though. I'm
Yeah.
nitpicking it because you asked, but like,
Yeah.
that is like, if an issue were to come up, that would be what I would expect.
Okay.
All right, so let's see. Yeah, we can just kind of like zoom through this stuff, I think.
Our captain likes going for early game smoke plays. I feel like you kind of got to get a little crazy when, you know, the MMR is a little
I'm down for it, yeah.
out of control.
So as we're watching through this, something I'm thinking about, in the Beastmaster lane, I would focus on just killing the boars. Oracle, just dedicate to boar killing, and you don't have to do, well, so this is why I think you need to go the Cataclysm build. I don't think, you don't have to be like all in on damage on Face Void. You just need to make sure you get the good chronos like every time you have the combo, and then that's kind of your job. So your items, I think, can just focus on surviving a bit and also making sure they don't just run down your tower. So that's where you might need a Maelstrom to like keep dealing with Beastmaster or something like that.
Okay.
This lane, I mean, you're just gonna try to not let him farm too much, but that will, you know, it's an Alk. There's only so much you can do there. I do think going for the Ags might be the play, but I'm not a mid Invoker player, so I don't know. You might be right to go Quaswex first into the Ags, but I think my vision of how like I would play with the whole team would follow with the quick Ags, especially because let's say you pick it up, like say you go that Ags, and I think 20 minutes is even late if you're rushing it, but like let's say it's at 20 minutes. That's like right as Alk is like trying to hit these big timings, but then you chrono him and hit him with like Cataclysm. Like he's probably dead, and there's not much he can do about it. Like there's no, only like a ton of health can save him, and they don't have like a save actual save hero. So he'd be forced to build like a heart or something. I don't know. And that might actually kill his momentum, because if you kill him at his peak, then that's like a big drop. But especially if you get it earlier, then he won't be as strong, and you can actually kill multiple people with the Cataclysm and everything. And then this lane down here, you don't need to do anything crazy. I would just mainly try not to let Juggernaut go out of control. The main thing we're looking to do down here is, it's kind of like someone needs to be free to start blocking camps and stuff, and to like mess with Alchemist. It can't just be Invoker. It needs multiple people to slow down Alk. And so like either this lane or this lane, something needs to go well enough that the core can be left alone and the support can start messing with Alchemist a bit. So in either lane is not necessarily like we need to crush this and go from there. Like the main focus is actually Alchemist, not the Juggernaut to me. Like Alchemist is the true carry in this game, rather than the Jug. So it's like, don't let this guy go crazy, but we need to make sure it's not like we're not shutting down the wrong guy, which would be the Jug in this case.
So is Alchemist the real carry because of the timing that they want to hit? Alk is going to be the strongest one, and Jug's going to kind of be the backup.
Yeah, in my opinion, Jug's role this game is to fill like this fighting carry, like between Blade Fury, his ult, and like some smaller fighting items. He shouldn't get a farming item. He should be the one who joins fights and makes space for Alchemist until Alchemist is ready to leave his lanes and jungles and then like just win. So Jug is essentially playing like the position 2, and Alk is playing like the position 1.
And they actually swapped their roles, so their position 1 went mid this game, and their mid.
Oh,
went
really? Well, that's because
Yeah.
he is the position 1. Yeah. There you go.
Dirty Mike usually plays in the safe lane.
Dirty Mike is pretty dirty.
He's very dirty. I think he's Ancient 5. Got like 800 games on Wraith King.
Trouble brewing at Radiant's bottom tower.
Yeah, so we can kind of see like the Alchemist is starting to do his thing with like the actually I thought he was going to stack. Looks like he was just waiting.
Yeah, I thought he was too.
But like it's coming up here. This is why I say like it's not usually it's like laning and then we can think about it, but like starting around this 3-minute mark, he's going to start looking to get the stacks ready so that as he hits 6, it's easy to like farm in. And that's why if you can have a support like already start to do some of this stuff, it can slow him down a bit.
I think that's one thing that our captain said. Like, we just got sentries maybe and put them around his camp like earlier. It nerfs him so much harder.
Yeah, I'd say you guys even did a smoke play over here. I don't remember if you did it, but if you actually put a sentry like in this corner, I think that would be sick. I think that would have been sick. Because one, you might catch his observer. It looks like it's down here anyways this game, but like you get a chance to deward him off the bat. But also it blocks his camp. He's not going to do ancients right away. He might stack hard camp. So like blocking one of these camps, probably prioritizing the hard camp at the beginning of the game. And then over here, I would do like this camp or this camp. Not just because they're both hard camps, but like if you think about, oh, I'm going to go stack, like where am I going to go? I'm going to come do this one or I'm going to come do this one. So
he
like
even goes to our camp and like starts trying to farm that.
Oh, like this one?
Yeah, like
yeah.
like in the next like 3 minutes, I think he starts trying to do that.
Yeah, anything he can do for like a couple extra last hits.
Yeah.
You could potentially go. Do you go like a Spirit Vessel build this game?
I do not.
Gotcha. I think if you had a different team comp, that would be viable. Since I think there's like big team fight, I'm looking for like a fast Ags. I know we already said you didn't go with that build, but that's what I would be thinking of. Whereas if you had like instead of a big team fight build or team fight game, team, you had more like I don't know. Mars, like Ursa, those kind of heroes, which are faster paced. Then I would do like a Spirit Vessel build on the Invoker. So then you can just like, that's your way to kill Alk at the first like 15, 20 minute games, 20 minutes. Also good against like the healing ward, all that stuff.
I do end up getting Ags, but I do get like Midas and Boots of Travel first before the Ags. And maybe I like just split myself up too much doing Quas Wex and then also getting Ags. So like the Cataclysm's like not even as effective, like trying to do too many different things.
Yeah, I think the Midas sounds okay, and then maybe instead of Boots of Travel, instead of Quas Wex, it goes into the Exort. Oh, so this kind of play, I think this is nice. I don't know if it's looks like he's getting away, but like this kind of stuff is good though, because you're not letting him do what he wants, even though that kill obviously would have been great. But he is like actually, if we switch back to him real quick. Like he was, yeah, looks like he was over here trying to farm.
He's so annoying. Like,
this is all, even though it would have been great to get the kill, and I think if like a couple extra spells had connected, he'd be dead. This is all time he's not farming. And because he's an exponential hero, like this is actually really big. This is an extra 30 seconds to a minute he didn't really want to do. Like if you hadn't been here, he farms this, probably comes and even tries to farm your hard camp, or maybe gets that rune, then like farms this and returns here. So it would have been like an extra 500 gold on this hero that you stopped by like running at him. And that's kind of why it's like we're gonna keep trying to do that. We're gonna keep trying to like block camps and slow him down so that he's just a normal hero. And when he's a normal net worth, he's like a weak hero.
Yeah.
See, so warding wise, you had one here, you have one here, and oh, I shouldn't have gone back a full minute. Oh, actually this one expired. I thought I got dewarded. So this is fine. This is from the lane. So your next ward's coming up. You want to be aggressive. You don't want it to be like defensive wards, because actually, like, what does Spirit Breaker do? Is he gonna gank mid with an Alchemist? It's like that's really weird, you know. He might go bottom. I guess it's Tidehunter, a little awkward, but like that's his best bet. And top
I don't
lane's
think
not.
he ever came bottom, honestly, in the laning phase.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, I think he can only really play with this Beastmaster. So you actually don't need too much vision to spot him because it's like Alk is not a killing hero and bottom is kind of awkward because of this Tidehunter, which you could still go for, but like it's very awkward. And that means like if it's not mid, it means he has to go between top and bottom, and that's very awkward for him. So we'll probably just pick one lane. And so your next ward should be like, I would put something like in this jungle probably, or this jungle, if not both. But I would want something to start spotting where Alchemist is going so that you guys can always keep track of that and try to mess with him.
Where did you safely get a ward like that up? Like I don't play sport on this team, but I still play it sometimes. I'm kind of curious. I don't know how you would how would you do that?
At this phase of the game, I would just walk in there, right? Like who's gonna be here? Everyone's still laning, you know? 2 heroes here, 1 hero here. Maybe you run into Spirit Breaker. That's your worst fear. But Alk is here, and so it's like, let's say I run into someone. I run into Spirit Breaker here. It's like I'm actually not gonna die. You know, it's not what Spirit Breaker does. If you run into someone else and Spirit Breaker joins, then you might die. But that still takes time, and like that's just to get over here is not too bad. So what I'd probably do is add a rune timing, a stack timing, something like that as a support. I'd come over here, stack or secure runes, whatever. And then I'd have a sentry and an observer ward, and I'd walk over here. And the most likely spot, maybe 2 sentries, it kind of depends how you think they're playing. Like the most common sentry in this area at this time of the game would probably be on this cliff or on this cliff. So I'd bring a sentry. You can put on low ground if you have a courier or high ground checking spells. But like I would check if I only had one, I would check this cliff. And if I don't see anything, I'm just going to YOLO, fingers crossed, hope. Like, they probably don't have an observer. If it's not there, it's in a weird spot. And there's no way I can, like, plant 50 sentries to figure out where it is. So I'm just going to hope it wasn't on this key point. I'm going to walk in here. I'm going to place my ward, and I'm going to get out as fast as possible. I'd probably do, like, right here. This is, like, pretty easy one to do. Because you walk up here, check the cliff, nothing's there. Quickly walk over here, plant it over there, and then, like, get out, hopefully, before anyone sees you.
Is there any value in sticking that ward star in the back right corner of that camp? I haven't really looked at that rectangle too much, but like
which one? This one?
the one right there, yeah, that back right corner that you have right there.
I think it's a good ward in general. I wouldn't do it this game because it gets you like this little like semicircle of vision up here in the river, right. But we're not looking for the river. Like we're not worried about runes.
Oh, you're looking for Spirit Breaker. I thought you were looking just to block out.
I'm looking for. Oh no, I'm looking for Alchemist. I want to know where he is. So like, if you know where he is, that's when you can run at him. Especially like prior to 6. Now it's gonna be tough because he's got Chemical Rage. But like prior to 6, and even with 6, because it's got such a long cooldown. I mean, it's not that long. It's 55 seconds, but that's not enough for him to like stay full health all the time. You can sometimes spot him like half health. And, like, that's where having an active mid or something is really good against Alk. I don't know where he got picked in the draft, so I don't know if you had that choice or not. But that's where it's, like, that's when you might be able to kill him and jump him when the ult's down. And he's not, like, he'll be in the lane when he feels very safe because that's where it's usually dangerous. And when he's not feeling safe, that's when he comes back here. And because he thinks he's safe back here, he's willing to go, like, lower health because he's like, oh, I'll Chemical Rage. You know, I'm not going to die back here. I'll Chemical Rage back up in, like, 10 seconds, and I'll return to the lane. And that's when, like, this sole support he doesn't expect knows he's there. And he runs over, cast 2 spell. Like, you have QW this build. Actually, you have all 3, whatever. It doesn't matter. You, like, stun him, and then, let's say Invoker had Sunstrike. It's like, boom. Like, how much damage is that? Can you kill him? If it doesn't kill him, is he allowed to, like, stay? He has 20 seconds till his ult's up. Can he stay and farm? No, he has to, like, go back to base. But I only get to do that if I know where he is. I can blindly walk in here, but he might have been up here the whole time farming. And then in that case, like, someone else should have come up here and I should have, like, gone to stack if I'm the Snapfire or something like that. So having the deep wards to spot Alchemist and also the Spirit Breaker, it's good to know where he's charging. That's what I'm looking for. And that's why, like, seeing the river, this is, like, defensive. This would spot people invading you, but that's not what's happening this game. You need to invade them.
Time is money.
Okay, we're getting our ults coming up here. So
I wanted a good first chrono, and it was kind of a flop because they went on me before I could go on them.
Yeah, it's tough. I'm trying to figure out who you go. I mean, ideally it would be the Alk, but
Spearbreaker was the one hanging out in my
not
lane,
enough
and
too
he was
much
level
damage.
3, so I was like, okay, I can kill probably.
We did just kill the elk.
Ooh, nice. We missed
He
it.
went into triangle.
Oh, this is so greedy. This is the guy who's higher MMR, so he's like, they're not gonna punish me for
Exactly.
this.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
pretty
it's
much
pretty
exactly
greedy,
what
dude.
happened. I remember pinging T-Bone too. He was already moving, I think, when I pinged him.
Nice.
were ready
This is
for
a
it.
really good kill. Okay, so here's what would be really nice. This guy's gonna respawn in 26 seconds. You've got 3 core players on your team, right? So you can look at the map and be like, where would Alk farm? If I were Alk, where would I TP to farm? And you just predict. If you have deep wards, even better, you can see him. But like you have Ravage coming up here. You have it, you just haven't skilled it yet. Like you have Ravage, you have Chrono. So it's like, what is stopping us from just like, as soon as I see Alk, just running straight over to him with a smoke, kill him. This game, it's a little tough because you don't have Mortimer's Kiss yet, and because Invoker he went Quas Wex, it's like, where's the damage? It's a little tough. Like, that took 3 heroes to kill the Alchemist, and he was at, like, half health. So it is going to be tough,
Okay.
and that's why in this
I
game,
did go naked Mask of Madness.
you have a
Just
bit
one
more
damage.
damage than usual. Yeah, so, okay, there you go. This might actually help. This might be a good amount of damage. But that's why this will be harder, because now you'll need to bring like 2 to 3 heroes, and that's suspicious. That's like, how are there this many heroes missing? And like they're gonna
Yeah.
start playing safer. But if it's like you have higher damage, but this I don't know how the draft went exactly. But like if you have higher damage output heroes with like, I don't know, a Void Spirit and like Snapfire, right? That 2 heroes could kill Alchemist potentially, depending where you spot him. But like
So what
in
you're
this
talking
game, we
about
need
right
3.
now is waiting, like trying to camp where we think he's gonna go when he respawns and killing him again. Is that the idea?
Yeah, depending
Okay.
on the exact game, you can either camp the area preemptively and hope he TPs in, or you can just have a smoke ready,
Gotcha.
and as soon as he like respawns, you're like keeping an eye on the minimap. Maybe your deep wards are up, and you're either going to where he is or where he isn't. You know, he's not showing bottom, so it's like, let's guess top. Or if you don't have any deep wards, then you do have to just guess. But at least as you guess, you're gonna have a chance to place deep ward, so that the next time you do this, because it's not a one-off thing, we're gonna like keep repeating this. The next time you'll have the deep wards, and now it won't be a guess. Now you'll be
Makes
able to
sense.
like pinpoint where he is.
So we're chain killing Alk to create space for Faceless is basically the idea here.
Pretty much is hopefully, and you don't have to kill him. You just have to stop him from farming, right? Because the last time you like
Yeah.
chased him out, he had to go all the way home, and we said that was like 30 seconds to a minute he didn't farm. How is that different from a kill, right? Like obviously it's a little different, but like in theory, he's not farming. That's what I'm really worried about. So, and in fact, I would even like, let's go watch his perspective as he respawns here. Like he's gonna be trying to pick where he wants to respawn. Oh, here's them going on you. Yeah, this is an unfortunate forced chrono kind of deal because they went on you. They did use Roar though. Okay, so if I was Alk, I just saw the Snapfire TP up here, I would go like mid to bottom, and I would feel very safe because I know Snapfire can't be there for quite a while.
Here's my question.
TP's
He goes top.
Oh, that's unexpected.
Okay, well,
He actually gets the kill on me finally.
I guess that's what he was going for. He thought he could get the kill.
If he didn't come, I would have survived.
That is true.
the disrespect this man showed to us. First
Yeah,
game he
yeah.
went. First game he went Wraith King, rushed Aghanims, and then got a Divine Rapier.
Yeah.
See, this is why I think coming top was a mistake. Like, you see, he farmed one camp at that time. Yeah, he killed you, but it's not really what. So now
Yeah.
he's here. But, like, he could have done the same thing mid and then come over.
True.
But
Here's
whatever.
my question about the play where like they smoke when, or we smoke when he respawns and go for him.
Mhm.
So in that time, Beastmaster's definitely gonna take a tower, probably our safe lane tower. That's like doesn't matter really trade wise.
So this is where it's like, hopefully we wouldn't need to bring so many heroes. And then one hero who has good wave clear could stay up here. Unfortunately, Oracle's not that hero. So it would have to be, like, if it was a support, it would have to be Snapfire. But this is, in theory, you don't have to give it up. Someone can stay up here. But if you have to give it up, I wouldn't hate it, because this tower will die, you know? And so, like, let's say you stay in the
they
lane.
Just move us under it. They don't really feel threatened by the tower at this point.
Yeah, it's kind of
I
like,
probably could have, as Tide probably could have gone up there too.
that's possible too, yeah, depending if you're needed for the gank or not.
Right.
But yeah, this is where it's like, is it better to stay laning and lose his tower at 14 minutes, for example, or lose his tower at 12 minutes, but also get an alchemist kill in that time? And depending on the mid, I might keep this safe lane longer. But for an Alchemist, I personally would be willing to kill that Alchemist at the cost of this tower for if it died a few minutes sooner. But I don't want to give it up like right away. Like I wouldn't have ditched the lane at like 5 minutes, but we're getting to the point where it's like, okay, it's probably gonna die soon. Like Beastmaster, he's got the helm of the Dominator. Like whoever comes up here gets roared, he's gonna take it real soon. So I really need to stop this Alchemist.
Yeah, the mid's the big one that like as long as you keep that one for a little while longer, you don't really lose much of the map.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't really stop him from just last hitting in lane. I don't really know what I could have done to.
Yeah, this is where you have a draft issue. It's not really something you specifically could have done, but it's just like Alchemist doesn't feel scared. Like
Yeah,
who
exactly.
rotates in? Like Snapfire's the scariest person to rotate in. And if Snapfire has ult, then it's like, okay, now we can do something. So until Snapfire has ult, like there's just not enough damage to easily kill Alk without multiple heroes. And he's like what, Ancient or Divine? Like
Yeah.
and he's on a team, he's playing with a team. So like there should be enough communication and map awareness to recognize like here's the 2 to 3 heroes that can kill me and they're missing. So now I got to play safe. And as long as you can see them, you're like, I don't have to respect this Invoker. I can come up here. And that's not Invoker's fault. Like it's just like, what would you do? He's over here. It's like, I don't know. I throw out every spell and he lives. It's like, so Oracle comes over. Oracle doesn't have that much damage, or like you chrono him, but you only have like, he's got the Naked Mask of Madness, but still, it's just like, just not a bunch of damage. It's really hard without bringing a ton of heroes. And that's kind of why I really wanted to emphasize that like earlier point where it's like he will jungle low health and like, yes, we don't have a lot of damage on supports, but he doesn't have a lot of health because he doesn't have his ult yet. And like slow him down here, and that makes these kind of plays a little easier. Like let's say he's like 500 to 1,000 gold less. It's like, or maybe a level or 2 lower. Like it's getting easier to attempt these things, and that's why like the sooner you start, the better. Within reason, you can't start right away because it's just not efficient. I don't know. It's catch-22. You got to start early, but not too early. Where that is depends on the game and the draft a bit.
Something I guess you gotta get a feeling for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so see, we totally have the damage to get these kind of kills with Snapfire ult, but I would say these are the wrong targets. Like Alex doesn't even care. He's like happy they died. He's like, yes, now I'm over here. With Snapfire ult down as that Alchemist, he should feel like I have 108 seconds now until I have to feel scared because it's just unlikely they kill me without this ultimate. So I would have really tried to save this. I mean, I get this one. You got a double chrono, and you even got 2 kills, so it feels okay, but in the grand scheme of things, it feels like we also missed the mark. Like, it would have felt better to ditch this tower earlier. You guys, like, smoke preemptively, and while they're committing 2 heroes to take this tower, you find the Alchemist, and you kill that Alchemist. That would have felt, like, incredible for you guys. And they would have felt like, oh, we took the tower, Alchemist died. They probably still feel okay because they did get a tower, but like Alchemist will be the issue, not like losing this tower. And it's possible you kill Alchemist fast enough that you can then TP top and defend, but it doesn't really work the other way. You can't defend that tower and then TP to the Alch to kill him.
Yeah.
So next set of timings would be the Snapfire ult. So coming up here, 73 seconds. What you guys should recognize the team is like, so what do we need to kill Alk? We need Snapfire. Snapfire is a must. But Tide or Faceless Void, either will be okay. So depending where we think Alk is, I can go with one of them, or depending who has their ults, who needs to farm right now. Chrono, still down for quite a while, so it's probably going to be Tide. I'm going to need Tide in 44 seconds. So because obviously you need Snapfire ult, Tide will just have to hold that ult. Like, he might see an opportunity to use it within that 30 seconds, but if you use it and you kill, let's say you kill like Hoodwink and Beastmaster again, it's gonna feel nice, but then it's like, so how do we Snapfire ult now? The Alchemist. It's like, oh, now we have to wait however many seconds left on Chronosphere, because like you can't just randomly ult an Alchemist, right? You'll never get the kill. You have to have something to lock him down, and you have Quas like Cold Snap, but that's not going to be enough. So it has to be one of these guys, and so you have to like line up on Snapfire ult right now and be like, okay, 73 seconds. I need a smoke. I need a couple wards. Like if I need dust, if it's like one of those Invis games, you get that. But that's kind of what I'm looking for coming up here. It's like, what do we do with the Snapfire ult like when it's coming up here?
So I get the hyper focus on the ult. But, like, it feels like Jug based on my lane against him and even the net worth graph here, it feels like Jug was pretty ahead too. I mean, I didn't realize at this point in the game I had the highest net worth on the team. But like, I was really worried about leaving that Jug alone too. And we did get the Ravage there with Snapfire dead. But we had the team fight around the outpost. I don't know,
Yeah.
like say we'd done the game the way you said and we were, chain killing this Alk, not
Mhm.
letting him have any space. Then all of a sudden, yeah, we don't have to worry about the Alk as much, but isn't all this resources we've dedicated to Alk? Now what's Jug doing? Jug's just at 30 minutes or 25 minutes, maybe he's huge, and so we have a small Alk and we still have a major problem, right?
Mhm. Yeah, that's a really good question. Um, so there could be a couple things at play here. One, Jug should not have gone a farming build, and you can actually see here, this is a mix, right? He can farm a little faster because of Mask of Madness, but it's also meant for fighting with the ult and Mask of Madnessing. So even as you leave him alone, he's not a Battle Fury Jug or like a Maelstrom Jug. He might be a Maelstrom Jug, but at least he's not like a Battle Fury. He's like, he shouldn't be built for farming, so it shouldn't be as bad. His farming is also just less than Alk, so you kind of have to choose the lesser of two evils. Like, you either deal with like 15k Alk at 20 minutes, or you deal with like a 10k Jug. Actually, he's going to be higher than that, but
Yeah.
you know, you kind of have to choose.
Maelstrom and Battle Fury, he really doesn't go as well. Like
He
that's a real fighting build. I don't see that often.
Yeah, this is like I think he recognized his job. Like, Alk is farming, I need to build fighting items. And so if you're stopping the farmer from farming and dodging the Juggernaut, like you're dodging the fighter and finding the farmer, like that's in theory what you need to do. It is going to be tough. He is going to get farmed, but like if you kill Alchemist, like you're getting some farm too, and it's not like you're just going to like invade, kill, and leave. Like, you're going to farm some of this too and back off. And it's not going to take all 5 heroes every time either. In this game, this is why we're mentioning the draft. It's a little tough. You do need to bring multiple heroes. But even in this one, like we're saying, let's say Snapfire, Tidehunter, right? Then that should leave Faceless to at least be matching Juggernaut and farm. Or it's like, okay, now we take Snapfire, Invoker, Faceless Void. That should leave Tide free to potentially be competing with the Juggernaut, so he's not farming as fast, and you're okay with that because you're an offlaner, so you don't need to be farming as fast as Juggernaut. You're just like slowing him down. Or you are just somewhere else and you're like pressuring mid lane as the Tidehunter. You're getting a ton of farm. Juggernaut's getting an equal amount of farm, maybe a little more. But at least you'll be a stronger offlaner as well. And that way it's like, yeah, Jug will be annoying, but hopefully we are also strong enough to deal with a normal carry who's having a good game versus like an Alchemist who is like absolutely out of our control now.
Okay.
But the same thing, the good news is the same thing, like this kind of why it ties back to the Cataclysm. It's like the same thing that'll kill Alchemist will kill Jug. In fact, Jug only has like, for as good of a game as he's having, he's like 940 HP, you know? So it's like, if we stop ravaging Tidehunter ulting the Alchemist, it's like, oh, let's just do it on the Jug instead. It's like, it's gonna kill him too. Yeah, like Alk has like extra 700 HP almost.
Well, plus Chemical Rage makes that seem even bigger if he's not low. Although I see your point. If we had the ability to hit him right there, and we do go after him, we just don't catch him here, I don't think.
Yeah, this is still a nice play, I think, because I mean he's just not farming, and he's farming a little, but it's like it's not ideal. He wanted to be here smoothly, come over here. I like this deep ward now. That means now you know where he is, so like next time we make a play, we know to go there or not. Okay, so this is where we have like 5 heroes up here. So kind of just going back to the idea of like, oh, we only need to bring a certain amount of heroes, and like at least we're being efficient elsewhere in that time. So this is like not being efficient. So like either mid or bottom, like one of you needs to be here. So let's see. No Ravage, so I don't need Tidehunter up here. Tidehunter, go mid or bottom. How you choose kind of depends on like what's happening. Like if Beastmaster is pushing a tower, I'd go defend that. Or it's like, oh, I can't defend that, but like maybe I can pressure mid. That's gonna be like game based, but at least you'd be farming in a lane. And like, what do you contribute right now? Like, yeah, Gush, yeah, Anchor Smash. It's just not too much compared to like the Chrono, the Snapfire. That's actually all you need. This is why Snapfire is like the best support right now. It's like Snapfire +1 is enough to do anything. And so it's like you don't need excess heroes so long as you have Mortimer's Kisses. Like there's enough damage to kill anyone in the game up to 20 minutes. So long as you have the lockdown and they don't have a save.
Yeah, that's fair. I didn't need to be farming that camp either.
Yeah, so this is where you guys are like splitting up your own farm, like what you have access to, while they're farming like very efficiently right now. So we come to their view, like, yeah, Beastmaster's here farming happy, like they're farming. I don't know, they actually have 2 courts right next to each other here as well. They should have like 1 guy in here. Actually, they already farmed this, so that's why Alchemist is over here. Okay, so coming back to you guys still. So it's like, okay, so we still have Snapfire, Alt, and Chronos. So it's like I still want to do something with that if possible. I think I'm okay with this. Nice. I mean, yeah, you kind of see that, right? Jug had a pretty free game, and it was that easy to kill him. You know, 1 Chrono, 1 Snapfire Alt. So I think it's okay to like dedicate your time on this Alk. And then the Jug, who like shouldn't be farming, like I think it's a mistake. It would work out, but like if he built a farming build, like that would be a mistake on his part, and it would have paid off if you had then dedicated too much time to Alk. But like that would be a draft issue on his part. Because like, where do we all farm? It's like there's not. So that's why like you're able to let him farm, and it's just not as big of a deal.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You're definitely making the point. I'm seeing it, so thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem. Hopefully not like hammering it too hard, but
No, I just
trying to highlight it. Yeah. Cool. See, 5K at 16 minutes is not the worst against an Alk lineup. Not ideal, but
most of the excess network is on the Alk too.
Okay, so kind of it's gonna sound repetitive, but I mean it is kind of what needs to happen. It's like 38 seconds. So what's that mean? It's like we need to get together probably in about 30 seconds so we can smoke and start moving out. You don't have to wait for this to be up before you move. It's like if from this tier 2, it takes like 8 seconds to walk here. So if you smoke here and like start heading out, that's fine. So you have the smoke. Let's check Oracle. Okay, you do have 2 sentries and an observer. If there's any extra in stock, any observers for sure, pick those up. You don't have to like buy out the full sentry supply, but I would definitely want a handful because as you go, you want to like blanket an area and like really either block his camps or like check the whole area for wards, stuff like that. Actually, from your side, I see like 2 defensive wards really here. This is kind of 1 defensive ward's fine, but like 2 on this side is excessive. Especially because your 1 aggressive ward is also on this side. So it's like if they were going to make an aggressive play in here, he would have spotted them here already. And then it's like, oh, I spotted them again here 5 seconds later. But it's like, I kind of knew what was happening already, So if your deep ward's over here, then if you really want 1 defensive ward over here, because this is an important part of the map to you, that's fine. But 2 is overkill. And in general, it would be nicer if like your defensive wards were on the other half of the map where you don't have the deep ward, because then you don't see them like smoking up here or gathering and then making their way up here. But yeah, so you kind of have the stuff you need. Just be careful. Like, so this would be the mistake. It's like, oh, I'm going to go place the defensive ward here now. And then you smoke and you're like way in here and you're like, oh man, it sure would be great to have an observer or something. And you just don't have it because you placed it already. So that's why it's kind of good to like start pre-planning this kind of stuff. So it's like, I have the observer and that's important, but it's actually bad to use the observer right now because I need it for when I don't get to go here very often. I only get to go here when the team all goes with me, which is only going to happen like these once every, 2 minutes, So you have to be ready for that. And the faster you can do it, the better. I know that's hard to say. If you could just do it, you'd be like immortal, So like I totally understand if there's time in between. But the more you can time it to like, hey, we have Snapfire ult coming up here, like try to get everything ready. What does that entail? Shove out the correct lanes. Like get the observers, get the smokes, the sentries, like check your other item timings. Like, is it more important to wait for blink? Okay, we can add an extra 10 or 20 seconds. That kind of like planning will really help you like keep up the tempo. And that's kind of what you need to counter this kind of tempo lineup. And it's also just generally good to do in like any Dota game anyways. Okay, so save the Invoker, and we have the Ravage, and we have Snapfire ult. So this would be a good time to like start getting together. So that death is unfortunate, and actually let's go back to that. So keeping in mind our game plan of like what we want to happen, you want to avoid anything like particularly risky, like as you get close to that timing. So farming here versus farming at your own tower is not a huge difference in time, but it would keep you safer.
Gotcha.
To be honest, I kind of would have thought you would have been okay here since we see a couple of them mid. Maybe just stayed a little long. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Alk was here. Honestly, I also would have thought this would have been relatively low risk. Like I am pointing it out. I would have said this is like, you know, very, very low risk. This was like low risk, but looks like they did go on you and got you. But generally, what I meant more is like when there's a very high risk kind of thing versus like medium to low risk. It's like don't do the high risk stuff like right before you're supposed to group up, because
I shouldn't be in our triangler by our secret shop, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because you died here. We're not, you know, we're not blaming you, but that does add like 33 seconds before we can use the Snapfire ult combo and everything. And at that point, Chrono's up, so it's like, oh well, maybe we can now go with him. But it would have been nice to kind of like, not necessarily alternate, but just like, you know, it just means we can make the play sooner. And since our cooldown is not based off Chrono or Ravage, it's more like Snapfire ult plus one of these guys. So it's like the Snapfire ult, what we want to use off cooldown as much as possible. And then like if Void sits on his ult for a while, that's fine. If Tide sits on his ult for a while, that's fine. Because using Tide ult off cooldown does not matter if you don't have the damage to actually get a kill with Tide ult. That's kind of why, to go back to it, this is why I think the Exort build would be important. Because like now with Invoker also having damage, now it's not just off Snapfire. Now it's like, okay, one or the other needs to go with one or the other initiator, and that's the damage and the lockdown to get these kills. But so long as Snap's like the only damage enough to get kills, it's like it must involve Snapfire. And right now we have it kind of sitting on it for a bit. Kind of have to for till Tide's up. And so like once Tide's up, let's see how long it takes to kind of group together. So this kind of movement, kind of dangerous from the Snapfire's end, right? Like we kind of just said, like we must have Snapfire ult. So I'm kind of okay with that courier kill, right? But then the risk of walking this way versus like walking backwards this way is like very different, right? I don't know where Juggernaut's going, but what if Juggernaut runs in here? Juggernaut kills her 100%. Like what does she do? So it's like he should run away here, but we can't necessarily make a bet on that. So to make sure
knowing that Faceless is behind him, is that still true?
Yeah, I think we were running over for the jug, but we didn't get him.
Gotcha.
Right.
I would say it depends on the game and like the situation. I think if he commits ult, I think Snapfire is dead before. I mean, he probably gets like here by that time. Your approach. This is still technically early to mid game, but you just kind of base it off like how fast you can die, and that's why in the late game, like it's a huge difference. Like the distance between you two would be massive in the late game, where someone can die in like a second or two. In the early game, when like they need to chase for like 10 seconds to get a kill, that's when it's like, oh, I'll go in first and bait the 10 seconds because he'll catch up. We're at the point where like level 12 has this super fighting item, like focus build. Like, I don't know if he'll commit ult. You know, maybe he just spins. Oops, I still have notifications on. You guys will see that in the video. My bad. Like in this point, I think Snapfire will die real quick before Void gets here. I would bait Oracle. If Oracle is here, I'd be willing to sacrifice Oracle. Oracle's not necessary to the plan we've been laying out of, you know, like we need the ult and we need, you know, one of these lockdowns. So this is a nice play. Let's see what we get. So unfortunately, we run right into Beastmaster. And this is kind of what we're talking about. I think you guys recognize, like, oh, we don't just want to kill, like, Beastmaster. But actually, like, this is very awkward, right? It's like, we have to watch the Beastmaster just walk out of here because we're not willing to commit this, like, 150-second ult and this 120-second Mortimer Kiss. Because we're having, like, a low cooldown fighting hero mixed in is very nice because then they can be the one always being active. This is why, like, Mars is nice. Even though Arena's 90 seconds, 90 is shorter than these other ults. But also, you technically just need Spear to get a stun, and you could probably get a kill off of that in many games. And it's like Spear's only like I think like 11 seconds at max level. So it's like that's like 10 times as many opportunities to just like take these small fights and maybe get something, maybe you mess it up sometimes, but you get to do it, not like here's the Beastmaster and like that's awkward. You know? This is kind of awkward, right? Where you actually had the Chrono and you had the Ravage, but the big issue, Snapfire is all the damage, and she couldn't do it. She was too close. So positioning-wise, Snapfire can't walk in like this. She just she must be in the back, ready to ult. So like somewhere back here, and see. This is where it's a little weird because like, does this guy frontline? How's he get the big ult? Is Tide frontline? Tide's probably the best frontliner. Oracle's not really a frontliner, and this is where like if you replace Oracle with say Ogre, it would probably feel better because like Ogre, just go out there, buddy. You know, like if you die, it's for the team. We'll get the big Chrono, we'll get the Snapfire ult. But if Oracle's backline, Snapfire's backline, this guy wants to see a group, this guy wants to see a group, this guy's backline, it's very tough.
What you're saying, I mean, my team was asking me at this point, like, where the hell are you? I was TPing in, but I didn't expect, once the smoke broke on the Beast, I was like, well, shit, I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
So I was surprised. Well, I think we had to take this fight because they all came up, but
yeah, I'd say it's more.
I don't think we won this fight.
Yeah, I'd say it's more on Snapfire to be further back, and then this fight would have worked out quite well actually. So like, let's say they go on like Oracle instead. Then here's your double Chrono into like double Mortimer Kiss, or hold it a bit, you get the Jug. That'd be fine too. So even if this fight goes better or not, though, there's this Elk.
Right.
No, not the Elk.
No. The Elk.
And I think we may end up
Never stop,
actually
dude.
losing that tier 3 there. No, I guess not. I know we lose it shortly
He
thereafter.
could have. He got scared of the Fortify. I think he
he
could have
could've.
stayed. He could have taken that. And then you were even here. He could have raxed you guys.
Oh my god, he totally could have actually.
Nah, I would
We
have
committed TPs to that area.
And this is
Oh,
where
okay, we had a couple.
this is where taking the initiative is tough, but it's also really good because like here they're choosing to fight you here because they know like Alk is down here. No matter how this fight turns out, it's okay. Net even okay for us because like Alk is farming and he's like maybe even pushing this building. Whereas like you guys felt forced to take that fight and it doesn't even feel like, let's say you wipe him, it still feels awkward because this guy's farming. But if you get to like dictate the fight, you shove out the lanes, you go hunt the Alchemist, it's like win or lose this fight, Alchemist isn't farming. And like, I don't know, some guy's up here, like who even cares about him, So that's not easy to do, but that's part of like planning around these ults, getting set up, like picking your targets. That helps you to avoid these like force fights versus fights that you're happy to take and possibly even lose, and you're like still like that's still good for you.
I didn't realize there were smokes there. Is this where they end up walking into us when we smoke? No.
So this Snapfire ult probably needs to be held. I know she's trying to help the Tide Hunter, but so long as we don't have Ravage or Chrono, it's kind of like not worth it to Snapfire ult. Because we go from, let's say like one of these guys die, they'll have a death timer of about, I don't know, 40, 50 seconds, but Snapfire ult is like way longer cooldown than that.
Was me walking in there correct, given that our like faceless was getting caught out?
Yeah, I think you going in is fine. You're the offlaner protecting your core, so like you dying for the Face's Void, I think is fine. Plus, not Ravage. Chrono is technically the more powerful ult, anyways. So like, if we're gonna take this fight now, I'd rather have Chrono than Ravage. So I think you going in to die instead of Faceless is perfectly fine.
Against mid tower could use a hand. The Dire might want to.
And I think they should like push because they don't have Snapfire ult to be worried about now. Yeah, at this stage of the game, I don't even know how long is left. Yeah, but I wouldn't expect too long to be left. So like this is a really good Chrono, and we didn't quite have the Snapfire ult. It's actually still quite working out pretty well for you guys. So, yeah, look at that. I think it would have been better with the Snapfire ult, but maybe that baited them, actually. Maybe they thought they were too safe. They got 4-man Chronoed there.
All intentional.
We're like, at this point, we're like, okay, well, I guess we'll actually try. That's kind of what we're thinking.
All right, so off of that, then, I wouldn't have expected them to like throw that fight, but let's figure out like if they gave us an opening, let's do something with it.
They went from a 16k lead to 11k. I didn't realize we got 5k difference.
They were just so far ahead. We did have to blow literally everything.
Yeah, but
you gotta do it.
That's fine. Yeah. And on this kind of the momentum we were talking about, it's like he's almost slotted, you know, like a couple more items and there's not much. So like if you're able to kill him here, that's big. And so that's where our itemization plan is. So like actually looking at that, you actually would have the Ags right now from Midas, like brown boots. If you skip the boots of travel into the Ags, you'd have the max level exort right here. And that would be all the damage you need, because I actually don't know the full cataclysm damage, but I'm pretty sure it's enough to kill this. If not like alone, but you're not alone. You have the Mortimer's Kiss, you have like Chrono hitting Tide.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it'll do the majority of the chunk that you need. Oh, so what I was saying, sorry, I meant okay, we win the fight.
That'd be 1,000 damage.
So looking at this, I'd want to get all 3 lanes shoved out, and I'd want to start getting vision in this area. You guys don't. I mean, it would be great to take any like these towers, but you don't have to play thinking like we must take objectives, we must do all that. You need to not lose currently because we're gonna win later, like with our draft and our team comp.
True.
So you don't have to look to necessarily take any of these buildings. We need to think a bit more defensively. Like let's say I take this. What are they going to do? Like, how do they win the game? They're going to get Roshan and they're going to go here. So it's like, does having this tower change that? No. Does having this tower change that? A little bit, because maybe you can fight Roshan and they don't have a TP. So it's like, if I was picking any tower to get, I'm going for this tower, this mid one. I'd probably still take this tower over the offlane tower. But I don't know if I mean, at this point, you probably just take any tower you can get if they're not defending something. But anyways, that's why I would like prioritize putting defensive wards up here, making sure they don't have any vision up here too, like putting a ton of sentries. And then if you could get any deep ward up here, it would be tough. You'd like really have to bolt for it with their death timers. But if you could get any kind of deep ward, that would be great, because that'll set up for eventually them doing Roche. And you guys are actually a fantastic Roche defense lineup, because you could come in here with the Ravage, the Chronos, Snapfire ult, Cataclysms.
That's pretty nice.
But the main thing is just not to totally give it for free too. So like even if you can't fight it, you see them going up there and it's like, okay, quickly because part of not losing is just not falling super far behind. And if they are like free farming everything and taking objectives, like we're losing on all fronts. So it's like, if we at least can't stop them from taking this objective, we have to like quickly free farm as much as possible here. Because even though they have Aegis, like at least maybe the networks are the same and we're up a little bit. And the later the game goes, like 11k doesn't mean anything at like 40 to 50 minutes. So it's like, we just can't let this lead grow too high. And so that's why if you see them all top and you can't defend, it's like, okay, quick. That means this whole bottom half of the map is free to farm. And that means they're farming the top half of the map, and that's equal. And then they're getting a little ahead with Roshan and the gold from there. But it's not nearly as bad as like, we're just too scared to do anything. So they farmed this half of the map, got Aegis. They came over here and they were like, oh, look, more farm. And now they're like, farming everything and you're not. So yeah, for the support.
How much of the map is safe in these situations? I'm always worried. Like, I guess for the next, like, let's say 40 seconds, most of our side of the map is safe. But then how far do you want to back up? It feels like as a carry, you always kind of want to get something out of the map.
So that's depending on like what heroes, like what catch they have. So in this game, we pause and reverse so much. I'm not sure where Juggernaut is, but usually you might have an idea of where Juggernaut is, right? Let's say he's in the top half. In that case, I feel comfortable to completely shove out at least all the lanes onto like my own half of the map. I'm willing to like push bottom in regards to Juggernaut. I'm willing to push bottom because he's not here. Now, in terms of being scared of like dying, Hoodwink is scary because she can be in the trees. I don't know if she took the town. Oh, she's not there yet. But she can always be in the trees and like surprise stun you. So she's particularly annoying. And then Spirit Breaker is also annoying because, you know, as long as he sees you, he starts the charge. So for showing in the lane, I would be scared because of those two heroes. But because right now there's only a Juggernaut, I'm not scared of just Hoodwink. So I'd be willing to shove, let's say, bottom lane all the way. And then as Spirit Breaker is about to respawn, I'm no longer confident as much in the lane. Not because like Spirit Breaker Hoodwink is gonna kill me. I mean, maybe, but like because between the two of them, they could buy enough time for one of these guys who then respawns to TP in and kill you. So as he respawns, I would then switch to jungle farming, where it's much harder for them to have vision of you. You might still die, but it would be because they have some kind of ward that you didn't know about, and that's much more reasonable than dying just because you keep showing in the lane to creeps. You know. Plus, it's like harder for Hoodwink to jump you here. Like when she sees you from the creep, she just waits here and she knows exactly where you are. But if you're in the jungle, she has to like run out to find you, and you see her the same time she sees you, and now you know like, oh shit, I gotta get out, something like that. If you take Spirit Breaker out of this game, then you really have until they like pretty much are about to respawn, and then you start to get out because like 3 seconds to teleport. So like a little bit of extra time to start running away and make sure I don't get like Hoodwink stunned for like 2.5 seconds, like right here. And I was trying to time it like so perfectly, but like I got stunned. So like I leave a couple extra seconds early, something like that. Does that answer that question?
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. And then also if the supports do make it out while you're farming, they make it out to place a couple deep wards. That might give you a bit more time as well. So yeah, I would have core shove out these lanes. Supports make their way to like D ward and defensively ward top, or any kind of deeper ward in general now would be nice, just because this is kind of your time to do it. You're not really going to get another opportunity. Yeah, so instead of Oracle like farming this, Oracle probably just like rushes out to place a deep ward and or D ward. And so like this push, kind of talking about those timings we talked about, this is getting a little long. They could have TP'd here to defend. And that's kind of, he's willing to do this because he knows like I won't die in about 10 seconds. And in that time, they'll respawn and TP in. So up to here, I think is fine. And then looking at the times, like I probably wouldn't bother with this. I'd probably like, okay, let's now like split. Like some of us go this way to farm this triangle. Some of us go top to farm our jungle. Because our jungles are still safe. They have no way to TP up there. You're going to see them possibly go through mid because you have this ward still. And this is where like those defensive wards would come into play. Like you'd at least spot them coming in. You on the Faceless Void, I think this is probably the right call. Like, okay, let's start switching to the jungle here. At least until I see like Spirit Breaker or something, because that's who I don't know where he's gonna go. And now as I see like several of them TPing mid, you've kind of returned to the lane. I think this is fine, and especially once Spirit Breaker shows here, I'd be okay continuing to push this in, unless I'm scared of being solo killed by any of the cores. In this game, I think you're okay, though this is actually... The Alchemist might be able to do it with some lucky bashes. Oh,
Nice.
Let's find out. Okay, we're good. Whew.
Dirty mate.
And then the reason you don't actually... Oh, look at this. This is kind of working out a bit. You didn't want to actually take that...
left after that.
You don't actually want to take this fight here because you blew everything earlier on winning the first fight. And so a follow-up fight will not go in your favor unless they like really screw up. That's kind of why he's like willing to do this. He knows his team's about to respawn. He knows you guys don't have anything. So I think this is an over-aggression on your part. That's why he's like willing to do this. That's why like the rest of the fight doesn't quite work out. If you have your abilities, then like sure, let's do this because they TP in. Like actually, that's the perfect fight I want. Like I want you guys to be here for all my AOE abilities, and I want to be on your half. You know, not on my half. But
I think I was hoping in this case. I think I was feeling pretty tanky and thinking I could push a tower but not look for a fight. And then when it turned into a fight, I was just expecting to die, not have it turn into a fight. And I probably could have communicated that. Because I definitely didn't.
Yeah, that's where different lineups would definitely be easier, but Spearbreaker is one of those heroes. It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
I don't want to fight, but like this guy will not stop running at me. You know, like
Right.
he just
Mhm.
goes. It's very hard. But other supports like I don't know, Crystal Maiden, right? It's like I don't want to fight, so I'm just gonna walk away. And like, what's she gonna do? It's like not as much. Other heroes that are like Disruptor's a very scary one. You can't like have that game plan against Disruptor because you just get glimpsed back. You know. So there's a couple heroes that fit that idea of like it's just not worth the hassle. But other heroes, your idea, I think would have been perfectly fine to try to like add a couple extra pressure, like really squeeze what you can get out of it. And then that's just where it would be like very game dependent.
That's completely reasonable.
Here, I got those 2 kills. I should have just been happy with that. I chased the jug down.
Oh yeah.
You got bloodthirsty.
And they pulled us out of base too. We got the kills on our
Yeah.
steps, basically.
I mean,
True.
I'll be honest. You may, at this point in the game, maybe you do have to do that because, like, let's say you don't get this kill. Like, there's an alchemist who's ulted, who's right by your base, and you still don't have your stuff. He's probably just gonna take buildings anyways. So you might have had to like attempt this kind of like crazy deep play. It doesn't feel great, but I think the bigger issue is like the earlier parts of the game we already talked about. That's where like changing the attention might have made it a little easier.
I think
Yeah, he definitely hit
one
a
of the
stride here.
big things I'm taking from this is like stacking thinking about where our damage is coming from, and then making sure that we're stacking that up. In this case, Snapfire ult with whatever lockdown we have. But in other games, I think maybe we can extrapolate that too to be like, okay, where are we getting our kills from, and how are we going to do that? And I think that could be really useful. So
Yeah,
try to be using that.
Yeah, in other games, I'm often just I hate Creeps guy, and they're the.
Right.
Oh, please tell me we kill him here. I don't even remember.
No, I'm pretty sure he walks out.
Mike.
Four man.
Oh, we did get him. Okay, cool.
Yeah. There's no way he gets out.
I remember there being a couple of situations this game where Alk just walked away from us and we were not getting that kill, even though
Yeah.
we had him real low.
I really like this next play that we make, though.
Yeah. Even though we talked about things you can do better, like at this point, it's possible you could still win. This time you only have Chrono though, so I don't know if I'm a huge fan of this. I did say we want to do this nice and early, but 26 seconds is a little bit much. Like maybe 10 seconds max. But also since we might run to someone here, like 5 seconds.
We're running straight to Roche. We're like running for our lives.
Oh, we're going to go for the sneak Roche? Oh, let's go. Okay, I'm actually a fan of this then. Never mind. I thought you were doing a play. I'm down for this. Something a little risky. Well, Alk is dead. Let's go.
I was trying to
You can even like
distract him mid, I think.
sunstrike it to get a little faster. Nice. Okay, I honestly, let's see. I think you probably lose one more fight, but because they're
It does from here.
because they're
That
at a
was our
point where
last big moment.
they win one fight, they'll take everything because they're strong enough. Every game hits this point where it's like eventually you lose a fight near your base and you just lose the base, and they're at that point. But having just stolen Aegis and they've like 14k is rough. It's not the worst I've seen. Let's see. You might be able to take like a good fight and win from here, in theory.
And
But
that's
I'm out of
exactly
position.
what happened. So we should just turn
we should
off
just
the
stop
rebound.
here.
Yeah.
No, I definitely get caught out of position there.
Yeah. So
Same.
I feel like
Yeah,
this
I
happened
would-
also. We've been trying this like Ursa,
Well-
Roche at 0 minute
should've
strat,
just-
and then once we have an Aegis, we're like all really overconfident.
Let me ask you this though.
Good.
okay.
Without progressing the clock, obviously we know that me and Booker get caught out.
Mhm.
But once we hit that Aegis, what should we have done? Exactly. Like what would have been the right play there?
Yeah, let's go back to that. So, as this falls, I still think the game plan we listed at the beginning is
Hit
pretty
mid,
much the
right?
same. No, I would say you don't even have
Oh,
to
okay.
go there because you're really approaching this point. This is our next big timing. Is Exort maxed and Ags finished. We already talked about like having it sooner or not, so I'm not gonna worry about that. But like
Mhm.
the game plan is still like this big chronosphere into the cataclysm, Snapfire ult. Like eventually you get like even refresher on like Invoker maybe, or a refresher shard or whatever on you guys. And you win these like big team fights and they don't even get to fight back because they don't have a save hero. 4 of them are melee, so as long as you chrono like 1 or 2 of the big guys, you instantly delete those guys and it's like 5v3 fights. Like that's usually pretty good for us, So I don't think you have to do anything crazy, even though they have all the towers. Like let's click Alk. His death timer is 70 seconds. You know, so like you eventually reach this point where they try to push this because they're on the timer. You wipe them with your combo, and they're not willing to fight you anymore. Even though you use some of your big ults, hopefully you kill enough of them. Or at this point, like Faceless is strong enough without the big ults that he can actually get kills, something like that, where they don't want to fight you head on. So let's say you kill like 2 important heroes here. 70 seconds is enough time to like run down and take 1, maybe even 2 towers. I mean, they have glyphs and stuff, but like that's why these towers don't matter so much. Like they mattered at the start to try to like open up the map, like keep up with them taking towers. That part's gone. You've actually held on to this point at this stage. So like getting those no longer matters. Winning fights, and then you'll just pick them all up like without even meaning to. You'll take them because you're now strong. If you have like what 10, 11, 12k on this Faceless Void, like he takes buildings, even though he's not like the most renowned building taker. He just has enough items, has enough levels. So you don't have to force these. You need to prioritize really good fights because you are still 14k behind, even with the Aegis. And that's kind of what happens here. Is earlier we were talking about distance. Is like Tidehunter was here, Invoker was here. Relatively, that's close. At this stage, with this farmed of an Alchemist and like Hoodwink ult and like all this stuff, like that's nothing. He's dead immediately. So like a good
So like,
fight.
where should I have been?
Yeah, so a good fight, for example, might be we still want to farm. We actually don't care about this bottom because the racks are gone already. Lane's over here, so we don't need to be there right away. So mid and top is what we need to defend and what they are most likely to gravitate towards. So fighting outside our base can be good, depending on the game. And a good place to do that would be like right on this high ground, for example. So like defensive. So right now, defensive wards and remove theirs because we don't want them to have like, let's check their vision. So this is part of why they can do this, right? They have so much vision on you guys right now. Actually, this is part of why that smoke play works because they thought they could see this. But now that you've successfully done it, now we need to like drop these sentries. We need to remove all their vision from this top half of the map because we know they're going to try to come up here. This is where their last 2 barracks are that they need to win. So we need them to have no vision here. They have to take a blind fight up high ground. And then we want some defensive vision so that we can see like, okay, all 5 of them are clumped, like send in the void. Or we see like this guy's here, it's too hard to take this fight, just fall back, go to our high ground. Like we get to choose the fight we want, and that's really important at this point because like any lost fight is probably the end of the game with the way an Alchemist, like how farmed he is at this point. He's probably just mega and it's over. So it's really important to pick the fight we want. And so removing their vision would be really big on that.
So like removing their vision and just staying closer to be able to like support each other and interact a little bit better. Is that kind of the idea?
Yeah, so like we have 3 people right here. So splitting this up a little bit would be nice. It's not like that's not the biggest issue though. It's like the 2 other cores like way over here is the bigger issue.
Okay.
With the like Spirit Breaker, like if you're showing, you're at risk, you know, because even if you try to fall back, they know exactly where you are, they know where to go, all of that. Depending on the lineup, maybe you can do this kind of thing, but even then I would still be very careful about like who is showing, who, like how quickly can we react. And so if Invoker wants to do this, you probably need like Tidehunter in these trees, the other supports like either back here in these trees or like on this high ground with Faceless Void like on this high ground or something. Like everyone needs to be here so that as soon as they like start jumping this Invoker in this straight line down mid, right? Spirit Breaker charges down. They all were waiting for Alchemist, so they're also all gonna have to like run down. Then the people waiting on the side get to like jump the back line, or you get to like save the Invoker, something like that.
So it's kind of more important to be positioning to choose a good fight right now than it is to be farming.
Yeah, the farming, it sounds funny, but like the farming doesn't matter as much at this point. Obviously, you don't want to fall too far behind,
Right.
but like, okay, Invoker farming is probably #1 priority to finish this ag. So like, that's what you could do. You could like look at your team, and actually BKB is also really generally important. Maybe a little less important in this game though, actually, since there's several things that pierce it. But in general, like whatever big item timings are coming up, like prioritize those heroes. So, like Faceless Void's here hitting it. What does Faceless Void build? Like with this extra 500 gold is actually not important, right? Because he's too far from the Ags or from the BKB for it to matter. So like these 2 heroes farming those items are more important. So it's like they come in here, farm this. And in fact, you could even have Faceless Void take point because if they're going to invade, they might be smoked, even if you have defensive vision. So Faceless Void sitting at this high ground allows, like, it protects this whole area, because if they try to smoke through here, and in fact, okay, maybe over here, so like either entrance they take, you break the smoke.
Especially if we have an obs up there, like I just break the smoke and we can see them all.
Yeah, and that protects your Tide and your Invoker to farm these camps, and then like another support who has buyback is willing to sacrifice. So they stand at this
Like Oracle in this case.
yeah, so they would stand like somewhere over here, and so like Oracle dies or Faceless Void dies, but hopefully Faceless Void, time walks out, and that protects the core heroes. The issue with this is like the core hero was exposed, no one's here to like save them, and this is like not a particularly great place for us to fight. Though if you were in position, you can kind of see like, a couple extra seconds, like getting close to a 3-man chrono maybe, but at least like the 2-man into the Cataclysm, into like the Snapfire ult from the high ground. And in fact, if Oracle's here, it's like, okay, we then save the Tidehunter a little longer, who ravages afterwards. And it's all just about like being close enough to like take out that team fight versus like max of farming efficiency. And you kind of have to enter that mindset when you approach this point where like, hey, if we lose a fight, do we lose the game? Yes. Then it's like, okay, we must emphasize team fights. Like, because otherwise you just run the risk, like, what happens here? They died and now we can't do this.
Spear Breaker's on Faceless up there now too.
Mm-hmm.
And yikes, yeah, it fell apart.
I get out of this one.
Right.
Nice. So I think if you guys like position a little safer there, you dodge that fight, then like this Rax doesn't fall, like even if you all got out there, like ignoring everything we just talked about like the defense of everything, like if you guys just all sat in your base,
then we don't lose the Rax.
Yeah, they can't. They either out farm you, which would not be great, which is why we then that's why we talked about how to secure farm safely, but still prioritizing team fights. But if they're just like gonna shove in, or like the lanes are shoving in, so it's like, oh, let's just farm from our base sort of deal. It's like, let's sit here, let them come up, then maybe we get a nice chrono combo up here on our high ground. High ground is like where everyone throws, I don't care that these guys are Ancient Divine, like they throw, everyone throws on high ground. So if you can't get in position in time, or you're not confident in a fight like out of base over here, something like that, then like it's fine to fall back to the high ground and go for something there. But the important thing is just like doing it as a team and being able to attempt that kind of team fight.
I really like that idea though of the like that the Invoker and the Tide needed to farm and not me, and I think like maybe part of the reason why they were probably showing on the wave in the mid lane is because I'm taking that safer farm in the jungle, and like I'm not even getting the items in the time.
Yeah.
For the next fight, so.
And I mean,
identifying that myself, or like you guys can always tell me like, hey, I'm close to an item and take the farm.
Yeah, definitely share anytime you need like key items, and you can kind of see like, even though they took this mid-rax, like you actually guys just killed the Alk and the Beastmaster, like right here. So it just kind of shows like you guys actually do have the potential to win these fights, and it just came down to this like this choice of positioning or getting caught out or not.
Yeah, those last few fights, all of them, like felt really good, and then we still got crushed.
And kind of same deal here. So like we can watch it one more time and we'll be at the end. But no chrono, no ravage. Snapfire ult, none. Invoker Cataclysm is ready now. You didn't use it then because it wasn't finished. So it's like we can do things, but don't do anything crazy. Like even as these guys respawn, even if you're like 5v3 or something, it's like we actually don't have any big ults. It's gonna take them time to come up here. We'll have every big ult then, and it's like we repeat. You take this fight again, but this time they're like one level higher. So now it's like instead of 75 seconds, it's now like 80 seconds. Now you have 80 seconds to like. You don't even have to take towers. Still, you could still just like focus on farming up, because their timing is ending now. Like they have like a few more minutes to win the game, really, because every time they throw a fight, you guys are getting 13k at 27. Not that bad with an Alchemist. Like this is doable. This is a winnable game for you guys. It just comes down to execution at this point. Like just making sure you have every ult, you don't lose the fight.
So we're beelining this tower, and you're saying that we didn't have to take this tower. We could have just farmed, and we didn't.
I'd say this tower's fine. I don't mind you guys doing this. I would want one support at least to prioritize like the deep wards and stuff we've talked about before, so you can
Right.
then properly dodge or take the good pickoffs, things like that. This tower you did have time for, as you can see. That's fine. And now looking at them, it's like, okay, let's start to get out of here. Like,
Right.
how much does the game change when we take this tower? How much does it change taking this tower? How much does it change stealing a bit of farm? A little, but is it worth losing the game over? Probably not. So like, take what you can as safely as you can and default back to like, okay, not even like the whole I was about to show your whole map. Don't even do that. Like 5 of you in one part of the map. And then it's like, okay, we took everything here, we pushed out the lane. Now 5 of you like migrate over here, you know, or you react to where you see them on the map. Like maybe even have to like run through your base back here to be safe, something like that. But it's just like we just emphasize being safe. And I see you guys kind of like sticking around a bit. It's like 4 seconds or 4 heroes are up now. Okay, now falling apart or falling back, but like look where we are. There's like one guy here, one guy like support, core, support. So we have like some heroes up here, but still a bit scattered. And if the other 4 were just running at someone, like they would find a favorable fight because you guys aren't together and you don't have like all your stuff. So any stopping to farm without like the deep wards is very scary. Hey, look at that. They're starting the fight and we're not ready because we're scattered. And in fact, we're not even ready to fight anyways because we don't have our ults. So like we can't even be farming this that much unless we have the vision to see if they're following in and we have someone set up to break the smokes if they go through that. You guys kind of don't have that. You're all just like, some of you are farming. You're kind of like scattering back, but you're not in this like, okay, Oracle, pop the smoke. Like you guys can farm here. We're all ready to get out, sacrifice Oracle. Oracle will buy back. And that's why they're catching like multiple people at the same time, and not the whole teams here. That's where we joke about it as supports, right? It's like, oh yeah, died making space, whatever, you know. Sometimes it's just feeding, but we're just saying it. But like, there's actually dying for space, and this is those scenarios where the guy with the buyback, who's not critical to the team fight. Like earlier we said, it can't be Snapfire doing it. So like whoever is the most expendable, like sitting in these places, dying for the team, popping smokes, that is 100% making space, setting up the correct team fight, stuff like that. All right, and then yeah, it looks like
Cataclysm, so we can like fight without this.
yeah, and then it looks like from there they're gonna have the megas, and
Yeah.
it's possible, but it's really tough. Look at that
so
juggle.
bad to buy back and then just dive right away.
Yeah. Oh, this guy's damage, yeah. It's a good build by him. A very fighting focused build.
What's with the Chrysalis though? He has a built-in crit.
I don't know about that.
He's
I'm sure there's
trolling,
math
I'm
on
sure,
this
but
that it like works out. I don't know. But maybe he's just clowning. I don't know.
I'm pretty
He
sure
does get
he's just
2 rolls
fronting.
for a crit every hit. But...
Yeah, you do get an extra roll.
Yeah, I think like Diffusal would have been a good fighting build. I don't know, but or like SNY Bash or something. I don't know.
They don't respect us.
Yeah, he was going into a silver gem.
Yeah, they
Oh,
do
no, he
respect
wasn't.
us with the Wraith King Axe.
The Wraith King Axe Divine was the first time.
True.
There
And then,
was no
okay.
respect.
Real quick, take a look at this. So even with all this farm, yeah, his items are a little funny, but it's like, this is Cataclysm killable, you know? So even with like, this is pretty farmed, you know, for this state of the game. So that's why it's like, if we focused Alec, like Juggernaut farmed a bunch, like how scary would it be? Like, let's say he has like a couple thousand more. That's like, I don't know, what's he finished? The Abyssal, like 3K, still killable in the combo.
His item build also wouldn't have worked as the like main carry. That item build wouldn't have worked.
All right. Any wrap-up questions now? See the stuff?
I'm pretty good. Yeah.
No, yeah, I think I learned a lot. I think the main thing I got out of it is if you see you're going against like a feast or famine type hero like Alchemist, then you need to change your game plan around making sure it's the famine part.
Yeah.
Like and like think about it from his point of view of where he wants to be on the map as that hero and what ideally what he wants to do and stop it before he can do it.
Mm-hmm. There's a couple heroes like that I think are pretty popular in these kind of leagues where you might have like an MMR advantage or like a really high level mid player. So like some other heroes would be like, So besides Alk, like TA, Tinker,
Tinker.
I would
Tinker's
think
a big
about
problem.
this kind of like same game plan.
You've definitely I've definitely dealt with some TAs and tinkers. For
Yeah,
do about
maybe
Tinker?
like a Huskar. Tinker is actually very similar, where it's like you need that early ward because a lot of them will be greedy with the Soul Ring. Before they have like level 6, the technically like infinite health and all that, they try to like push their limits, farm pretty low, where even a support can really easily kill them. So getting him killed in the early game is really good. After that, you just have to, like, whether you accomplish that or not, anytime you kill Tinker multiple times in a row, it's really big. So that concept we talked about, like, where's he gonna go? Instantly try to kill him again if we can. In the late game, that's probably a win. Like, no matter how bad the game is, anytime Tinker buys back, that should be like absolute number one priority. But he doesn't like to buy back. So anytime you can kill him first, and then like you probably have, I don't know, like 80 seconds, because he's usually super farmed because he's Tinker. Anytime you kill him, you suddenly have so much space on the map. None of them should want to fight. Sometimes they do, so don't take that as like a full guarantee. But usually that's the idea. It's like you kill the Tinker, who's not that hard to kill usually. It's a little harder now with his new build, but he's not. It's not like some slotted Spectre or Wraith King. Usually, he's like an intelligence hero who buys intelligence items, so he's usually killable even when he's farmed. If you just catch him, like the deep wards, the smokes, that kind of thing. Wait for him to like TP in and catch him. Oh, Morphling. Morphling's another one. People like to run mid.
sure. And you
Alright.
can just kill him early because he has like no HP.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you guys, any of your teammates review this who weren't here and they have questions, or you guys ever come up with questions, feel free to send them over. I'll be happy to try to answer them.
Cool.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. I
I
really
appreciate
appreciate this.
that.
Yeah, no problem.